actually. We were supposed to be a decoy, keeping dogs back at no end. Oh, how are you? Well, it seems to be fairly hectic. We thought we were going to be a decoy, but evidently, in fact, we were.
Top our roll car.
Good thought.
I think photograph from every angle.
Photograph from every angle.
Looks just like coming out of Houston, isn't it?
Very similar. Do you know why it's called the Bullet Train?
Why?
No, I don't know. I was just wondering.
Well, because it goes like a bullet.
Yeah.
I actually met George about 6 times before I realised I met him, because every time he looked different. I went to a party once and I thought he was that Susie out of Susie in the Banshees. And he wasn't. There's another time when he had his hair right up in the air, sort of white. You've probably seen a very famous picture of him and Marilyn. And I thought he was really disgusting. I don't want anything to do with him then. But I didn't know it was him, you see.
Yes.
Didn't know it was him. And then eventually I met him through Kirk Brandon of a Spear of Middle European Angst. Destiny, that's right, yeah. And I met him in this place in Borough. There's this sort of rehearsal. It was very suited to George, actually. It was like a costumier's place.
But in the borough?
In the Borough.
In London.
In the Borough, you know, my borough.
I know it well.
You know the one, yeah, you know the one. And he was jolly nice. He was really good, actually, because I met him. He was all made up. I wasn't used to this sort of things. I never went to the Blitz. I didn't like it. I took sort of a semester for that period. And he was with Kirk. It was really nice. Sort of got up, shook my hand. He was very friendly. Nice, amazing charisma around him.
I'd seen George around the clubs and that, so I sort of knew who he was, thought he was interesting enough to form a band with, so I came along and we all sort of got on and just went from there, really.
No.
I approached George myself via some friends. They took me to a club where I found George DJing, a nightclub called Planets. He was DJing, yes, with a pint of lager and blackcurrant by his side.
What sort of records did he play? Any good ones?
A classic was Sugar Sugar by the Archies. He used to play that a lot. Just real sort of old nostalgic stuff, really. And I popped the question to him and he sort of said, yeah, right, I'll see you later. And that was that.
He knew Mikey at the time, and there were just the 2 of them. And they had one song called Mask, which sort of went, I can see, what was it? I can see the emotion. Anyway, it was dreadful, right? It was like Lily Marn Lane on Downers. It was horrible.
The good thing about this band is that what we do is that we spend, like, say, 4 weeks writing together in a little dingy rehearsal room, and then we argue, we throw coffee over each other, smash guitars, you know, swear, call each other obscenities, and then when we go to the studio, you know, we all work.
Yes.
But we do all our arguing beforehand. But I mean, as regards to like politics and, you know, like even sexual matters, I mean, none of us have got anything in common whatsoever. In fact, sometimes, I'm to be quite honest with you, I look in the mirror with tears in my eyes and I think, what the hell am I doing
with these Philistines?
And but they think the same about me sometimes.
Because with George, sometimes you'll be trying to do something, and I say, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And you go, well, wait a minute. You know, sometimes you have to wait for something's finished to see how brilliant it is.
I always say you need 3 things to write a song. You need good melody, you need good music and good rhythm.
Yeah.
And within the band, there's all three ingredients.
And which bits do you contribute?
I do the good music, I hope, along with Mikey and John. But they mainly do the rhythms. Mikey and John are very good together, like sort of the Sly and Robbie of Culture Club, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm sort of MD, sort of musical director, and George is the sort of inspiration and the singer, you know.
We're like one of the biggest bands in Japan for the last 15 years, but that's because we came here last year and we did like chat shows, we did really mediocre things, which most bands would turn their noses up against. You know, they would say, oh, we're not doing that. But, you know, my attitude is that it's, you know, you're far more lethal if you get right inside a society. You know, like in England, it's very easy to make a record for 10 people. You know what I mean? I wanted, wherever we've been in the world, I've wanted to penetrate it and go right inside so that everyone knows who you are, you know, so that everyone wants to take your picture, everybody wants to know about you.
Do you feel as though it's becoming a strain now, or is it harder now than it was before? Do you feel as though from being a sort of that big size celeb, you're turning into this size celeb?
It's funny because I've never really taken it, I've never thought about it that much, you know, it's never been such a big deal to me. I mean, I don't care. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, I don't care about that side of it. I mean, I think I'm just a normal person who happens to be getting a lot more attention than other people. You know, I mean, I've always been a big mouth. I've always been obnoxious. I mean, even at school, I always got the most attention, simply because I went out of my way to get it. But it's, you know, I don't feel better than other people. I just, you know, it confuses me.
What sort of thing did you do at school?
Well, like, you know, the teacher sort of tells you to get up and read something out because he knows you've got a higher-pitched voice. Yeah. And you sort of turn around and say, no, I will not, you know, sort of like, words to that effect, you know, be rude and everyone else would laugh. I was like a court jester. I'd make everyone laugh at school. We were talking about this the other day, you know, like people, you know, I was discussing like how sexuality has changed over the years. I mean, like, say, 20 years ago, in my father's youth, it was like effeminate to wear aftershave, and now it isn't. It's like a big, everyone wears it. And I hope in about sort of 10 years' time, there'll be another sort of, like, I think groups like Frankie Goes to Hollywood won't be so outrageous. People won't be so shocked. Because, I mean, it's so old. I mean, it is old-fashioned. You know what I mean? I mean, look, there was Quentin Crisp. I mean, like, if you take, for example, Quentin Crisp, he could have been like a huge celebrity because there was no TV.
He is now, isn't he?
No, but he is now. But imagine in his day if there'd been like the Tube, and you'd put Quentin Crisp on the Tube. Suddenly you'd have had, oh, I'm the Quentin Crisp of Leeds. I'm the Quentin Crisp of Manchester, and it would have been a cult. But because nobody knew about it, nobody knew about homosexuals, nobody knew about weirdos. They've been around for years. That's what I'm saying. It's not new.
No.
It's
In the 18th century, people used to wear makeup.
I mean, look at our country, what it came from. We were all drag queens. We wore like powdered wigs and white foundation, and I just think that's what I think is hypocritical, which is why I love Japan, because it's a very strong part of the culture, that kind of transvestite element.